This main event matchup is brought to you by 8 Ball Bail Bond.
Nobody knows more about wrestling than I do. I mean, you're not really going to find a person.
In your
on the planet,
opinion, nobody knows more about wrestling.
No, Joe. I mean, on the planet Earth, you won't find. You can count on fingers and maybe your thumb the amount of people that might know as much about the business as I do.
Well, I think Matt Hardy's right up there. Been in the business
do you really
very,
think Matt Hardy knows
time.
as much about wrestling as
Matt
I do?
Hardy is.
I'm offended that you're making that statement.
He is a student of this game. You know, he's a guy, and that's why he was so good in the seminar, because he had a genuine passion. We have seen some guys roll through that have done some seminars that kind of mailed it in.
How much do you think Kenny King knows about the business?
I think Kenny King knows a lot. He went through the WWE system back in Tough Enough.
But apparently he really doesn't know like the intricacies like I do. Like in a tag match, standing in front of the hard camera side.
I'll give you that.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So let's just say that's one thing that I know more about Kenny King. Then would you agree with that?
Well, you're a guy who's done a lot of television work, so
right.
You know. Maybe Kenny King, he was off TNA for a while, so he forgot.
Let's say one thing. You know, if there's any aspiring wrestlers out there that are say they're in the business, like there's probably a lot of guys on the independent wrestling scene that watch FSW and probably look at the show and have inflated egos about their own abilities and think I could be on that show. I'm better than that guy.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a lot of those guys. You deal with those people on the phone a lot during the week, don't you?
Oh, emails, everything.
Okay. Well, there's certain things about being on TV that, like, when these guys get here and you put them on TV and they do things incorrectly. I mean, would you agree with that?
There's definitely things that are due, and I know when we do have the professionals, the Matt Hardy, the Robbie E's, the Kenny Kings, that's one thing they try to explain to these guys about working for television.
Right, working for
things
TV.
You have to do
right.
that are different than just doing an independent house show.
In an armory somewhere.
Correct.
Wrestling in front of 100 nose pickers. So it's like, I mean, there's so many things that people that think they know about wrestling, but they just don't know.
Absolutely. Right now, a big tag team matchup. Brian Cage, Robbie E.
I'll tell you what, Robbie E and Brian Cage are in great shape.
Robbie E, I don't know why he's turning his back to Matt Hardy, because that's what's going to happen. A big right hand. I thought he was actually going to tag in Cage, but then he just turned his back. And there is Kenny King, knowing Robbie E well from TNA. As we've seen Kenny King, the local star, rise. Ring of Honor, TNA now. Here's a guy who's really making a mainstay in the business. Mm-hmm. Great to have him here as part of FSW, along with Matt Hardy. The talent level is unbelievable. These 4 guys are fantastic.
You could make a case that the talent roster at FSW might even be better than Ring of Honor.
I would definitely not disagree.
You got a guy like me as part of this roster. I'm better than anybody on Ring of Honor. So, right there. Ring of Honor doesn't have the best wrestler.
They do not.
Nor do they have the best commentator.
I'll agree with that one, too, for you, Disco Inferno. Much rather listen to you. And there's Matt Hardy with the big clothesline, and it's funny, you see Matt Hardy, and you think of back in the day, because he would team up and he would wrestle against guys like Kane and The Undertaker.
I will
these big
say
guys.
This. Kevin Kelly is a better play-by-play guy than me.
Is that right?
Yes. Okay. I would think that I'm a better color commentator than Nigel, because Nigel is very knowledgeable, okay? But
yes, he is.
One thing that he is that he's not that I am is he's not funny. I'm a funny guy, aren't I, Joe?
You're a funny guy. Nigel's strengths is information about a lot of the talent.
Right.
He studies that a little more than
right.
you do.
I could care less about some of these guys.
I had a conversation with Scott D'Amore about you,
really?
By the way, a couple of weeks ago.
And how did that go?
And I told him about you being a color commentator, and he pinned you 150%.
What did he say?
He said, very entertaining, very funny guy, but sometimes he lacks on pushing the storyline and what's going on.
Well, sometimes I like to push my own agenda.
Well, that's right. Sometimes you get caught in a story, and again, they're not entertaining, and sometimes,
But that's me. I'm more like a Colin Coward. I call it like I'm like a typical layperson. I call it like I see it. I'm calling what I see. So I can't lie and make up stuff to further the drama of a weekly television program, I have to call like I see it. Right now, what I see is that you're talking about how Matt Hardy is becoming a long-term, investment here in FSW, and the guy right now is bombing in there. He looks like crap.
Whoa, Brian Cage is a phenomenal athlete, and he's a mainstay as part of the roster. But it's big news when it's a guy like Matt Hardy who has accomplished tremendous things in the business, just like when we acquired Disco Inferno. It was a big deal to FSW. Ooh, and look at that, pulling out an enziguri at Matt Hardy, who's looking to make a tag as Kenny King is begging for the tag in. And there it is Brian Cage swinging and a miss.
The king of the night. Ooh, and a big right hand by Kenny King.
And Kenny looking in much better shape than the last time we saw him when he wrestled Brian Cage.
Look, Kenny King's always in shape. He's just not in great shape sometimes.
He had some time off from TNA. 1, 2.
That's fine. All a guy like Kenny King needs is a week in the gym. He's right back in. Back to 100%.
Right, he is back in tremendous shape. The elite champion, and there's Robbie E. Kind of coming in, but not all the way.
Well, you talk about great shape. There's Brian Cage with a big power slam. Now that's a guy in great shape, Brian Cage.
Just recently was victorious in Northern California bodybuilding competition.
Yes.
He is a guy that, he has been looked at, former WWE developmental talent, chose not to go back when he was reoffered a contract.
Why not?
Didn't want to pay him enough. Said he makes more money working where he's doing things now.
Interesting. So he made a good financial decision then, didn't he?
And word is we're going to be seeing him a little bit more often in TNA.
Really?
So that's what's going on in Brian Cage's life. Kenny King, he is a top talent in TNA, involved with MVP and Lashley, and Robbie E, former tag team champion. So and he's also
we got top tier talent here.
That's right. He's going to be on the Amazing Race this year with his girlfriend.
Who is
Robbie E?
Really? Who's his girlfriend?
Brooke Tessmacher.
He dates Brooke Tessmacher.
They are living together, yes.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yes.
One thing about these, I don't understand these wrestlers. Why do you always have to date the girl wrestlers? I don't want to.
Maybe it's the girl wrestlers' fault.
It's just to date a girl. I don't want to date a girl that's in the biz. I mean, I want
58 other guys.
I just want a girl that's okay with me watching football every Sunday. I don't want to really know a lot about wrestling, because if she does, then she would always be questioning me. Ooh, nice move.
And look at that, into the neck breaker by Brian Cage.
What an excellent combination of moves by Brian Cage.
He is really stepping up his game here in FSW, making more appearances. And he's another guy that, we've come to agreement to where he is going to be here an awful lot, Disco Inferno.
I like that. I wish Robbie E would be here more often, too.
Robbie E will be here also, and he'll be back again at our next Sam's Town show.
Sam's Town, when is that?
That will be in July.
Nice.
And he is going to be here, and he's bringing a friend, EC3.
Is he really?
That is correct. He will be here.
EC3 is signed with, he's a Carter,
That is correct. So we have a big show planned for you in July. Matt Hardy will be here. Robbie E, EC3, Kenny King, all the stars, they keep coming back to Sam's Town Live and FSW. Nice reversal by Robbie E, but look at this.
Reversal by Kenny King.
1, 2.
He did not get him.
But look at this, he was out of position, and Robbie E was able to take advantage, and that's what you do when you're a major league wrestler, Disco Inferno.
Yes.
You can't make Kenny King, sometimes against lesser talent can make those mistakes and stay on top of the match, but you can't do that against a Brian Cage. You can't do that against a Robbie E.
Because you're going to lose.
Absolutely. And it doesn't take much to turn the tide and look like you're going to win the match, and at the blink of an eye you lose because these guys are that good. And hopefully the younger wrestlers, they're in the back, they're watching this, and they're learning, and they're seeing what it takes to get to that level, Disco Inferno. Sometimes they're a little complacent.
Well, you're a master of the obvious. So what do you tell me this way? I've known this for 20 years, Joe.
And right now it's Robbie E and Brian Cage, never teamed before, but they're working well together.
Little piece of advice to the aspiring wrestler out there. get in shape. You know, it's not that difficult to pick up the magazines, read the diets, follow the workout programs to see your body improve, right?
That's right. If you want to get to that next level, you know, if you want to be a mainstay even in FSW, you have to be better than most.
Driving down the road, driving down the highway and seeing the big billboard, you know, 2 Big Macs for $4.44 and driving, say, wow, what a deal that is, and going and eating 2 Big Macs is not going to help your physique, is it?
That is correct. Even I'll take Chipotle over the Big Mac.
I love Chipotle.
Was there yesterday. We were hanging out after training with D'Lo Brown.
Really?
And look at that.
Wow, catch! Holy smokes!
And Brian Cage has caught him.
No, but then Kenny King turned it around.
Unbelievable strength by Brian Cage.
Wow, he caught him in a really weird inverted position, too.
Yes.
I mean, what an incredible feat of strength that was.
I have never seen that move before other than Brian Cage doing that with the strength that he has. He looks confused.
He doesn't know where he is.
As Stu Stone is trying to get him, and look at that. He finally does. He makes the tag. He was right there with Robbie E. Here comes Hardy, who blocks the punch.
Oh, it's a big right hands.
And he's firing away. And there's the clothesline. And he nails Brian Cage. He's got him up.
And a clothesline bulldog. Wow, Matt Hardy still got it, huh?
As Matt Hardy comes to the second rope. And he drops the elbow on the back of the head of Robbie E. And Robbie is telling him to finish off. And he's going for the twist of fate, but no.
Blocked by Robbie and the referee out of position again.
And the referee goes down in the discus clothesline by Brian Cage, and then the spine buster by Kenny King. But then Robbie E's got him up, and down he goes. And the side effect, and down goes Robbie E. There is no ref to make the count. 2, 3, but there is no ref as Rebby Sky trying to get the referee awakened.
She's trying to fan him. What's that going to do?
Oh, and Brian Cage nails him with the tag belt.
And Stu Stone, they got him in perfect position. Joe, what a move.
And Brian Cage getting the ref. This could be it. Look at this. 1, 2, 3.
No, he kicked out. How did he kick out of that? I thought it was 3.
And it looked like Rebby Sky was pulling the ref out of the ring.
Stu Stone can't believe it. What happened there?
And he is screaming at Brian Cage to finish him off. And he has got another belt. He's got the elite title.
And the big discus kick. And there it is again, right to the back of the head. Oh, no.
And there's Matt Hardy. There's the twist of fate. And down goes Robbie E. The cover. 1, 2, 3. And there it is, Matt Hardy. Robbie E is pinned. Kenny King and Matt Hardy are victorious.
Unbelievable.